What's up, everybody? PB here with you. It's Monday. It's the day after. So many of you out there. I was seeing last night, even overnight I saw it, early this morning, this afternoon. I see a lot of folks are struggling today. A lot of folks' hopes seem blown out of the water. Oh my gosh, we're going to get knocked out in the first round. Oh my gosh, it's been great. Oh my gosh, this. Oh my gosh, that. All right, I got some words of, I guess you would say, hope, some positivity to share, and I'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk first about the game itself yesterday. This is pretty much exactly what I expected. Two heavyweights, one from the AFC, one from the NFC, going at it, back and forth. You score, I score, you score, I score. There's a punt in there. The other team kept scoring. Game ends up 48-42. So I said 4 to 6 weeks ago, I made a video and I came out and I said that Buffalo was going to the Super Bowl and represent the AFC, and I said the Lions would represent the NFC. I felt that Josh Allen, the way he was playing, the way the Bills are playing, they're the best. Difficult to put Kansas City on the outside of that, the Mahomes factor, the Reed factor, but Buffalo's just playing better. Now last week, 44 points to the Rams, to their 42. There's some issues there. And Milano was back last week. Milano was back yesterday. Milano exited the game. Sam Laporta couldn't do anything when he was in. When he got dinged up and he exited the game, all of a sudden it was Laporta. So let's try to keep perspective here and understand that everyone's got issues. Everyone's got injuries. Everyone has things that are going on that they have to overcome. Look at Patrick Mahomes yesterday. Who knows how bad that injury is? I haven't heard the news yet today. I think it's still being examined. But what we have right now, 3 weeks left in the regular season after tonight's games, anything can happen. Anything can change. So, the game itself, Josh Allen's a beast. We all know that. That's not breaking news. What that guy can do on the field, the options that he presents, and the challenges that he presents to a defense on exactly what to cover, what to stop, is next to impossible. It almost doesn't matter what defense it is. It doesn't matter if it's 100% healthy Lions. It doesn't matter if it's the greatest, the Baltimore Ravens from 2000, 2001. The way he can do either the RPO, first of all, he can drop back and he can throw the ball wherever he wants, whenever he wants, with modest to good protection. He can, of course, move the pocket and throw on the run, across his body, on a dead sprint, whatever it takes. He can make any throw into any window in any circumstance. And then over and above all of that, he can use his legs to beat you. Over and above all of that, he has a certain toughness and ability to lead that is basically second to none. He's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, barring injury. So let's understand who it is that we played and what it is that we actually expected. So Ty Johnson was drafted by the Lions, and he's out there looking like a world beater. That wasn't as much Ty Johnson, although he made some nice catches, as that is Josh Allen. And when I think of Josh Allen, I think a lot of Tom Brady, because Keon Coleman and Shakir and Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid and Ty Johnson, James Cook's a nice back, but this guy makes everybody around him better. He puts them all in a position to flourish. So much of that is based on him. And I said it in the lead up that yesterday afternoon was a much more important game to Buffalo than it was to the Lions. They could not afford to lose 2 games in a row. And in order for them to cement themselves after losing the Rams game, I almost said St. Louis again, they had to come out and they had to win at all costs, no matter what, regardless of being on the road and regardless of playing against a team who had won 11 straight. That's just something that they had to do. So again, perspective, it's not that the Lions didn't want to win the game. They didn't need it as much, even though it's important. And as I said during the game, I was thinking it leading up to the game, and I said it in one of the videos last week, is leading up to the playoffs like that. When you've won 9, 10, 11, 12 in a row, at some point you're due for a loss. And a loss helps you reset a lot. It helps you just fine tune, okay, we're not the biggest, baddest guy on the block. We can be beat. We're not invincible. We've got to clean some things up. If we want to keep on winning, we've got to play better. And they've disposed of most of the teams that they've played. Now, I did lay out during the game yesterday all the quarterbacks that they have lined up against this year. From the Mac Jones to the Mason Rudolphs. Of course, you had Jordan Love that was injured in at least one of the game. You had Sam Darnold, okay. You had, obviously, Josh Allen. You had Caleb Williams one time. You have not had a world beater of quarterbacks. You just haven't. And yesterday you faced the best, and he got the best of you. So let me address this whole Campbell thing. You guys, relax. Seriously, relax. You proved that you could not stop them. This notion about what he did was so crazy with 11 minutes left, and he's onside and kick. He's looking at the obvious, guys. If you can't stop the team, you have to gain another possession somehow. And the way the defense was struggling, and the fact that you don't have any game breakers on the defense, Alim McNeill out at that point, no Aiden Hutchinson, the list, I don't even want to go through it all, but you don't really have someone that's going to get a strip sack fumble and you're going to get the ball. So how else can you get the ball? How else can you make up for that possession so that you can catch up that difference? It was 17 points, 14 points, but most of the time it was 7 to 10 going back and forth. You have to create another possession. You're going to keep trading scores with them? You can't win the game trading scores with them. You've proven you can't stop them. Honestly, there was no stopping him. There was no stopping them. You could have played another 4 quarters, and you could have had Alim McNeill. You could have even had a couple of other guys. It wouldn't have mattered, guys. So everybody just chill out about the Dan Campbell and, oh my gosh, he shouldn't have done that. What are you supposed to do? You cannot. Could you maybe stop them? Yeah, but you showed all game long that you had no ability. Would they have one punt? You basically had no ability to slow them down in any way, shape, or form from really a touchdown, and you couldn't give up any points at that point in time. So why would everybody be on him about this? And did it work out to where the ball bounces and you take it down to the 3-yard line? Yeah, great. But as you heard, I think it was Romo saying, you gave up another score, but you thought they were going to give up another score already, but they would have taken 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes to do it. In this case, they gave up, 10 seconds? So just, guys, I think everybody's looking for a reason to complain or to be negative like it was in the SOL days. We're not in the SOL days, and I'm going to explain to you why this isn't all over in a moment, in my opinion. Now, it could be. It really could be. And Josh Allen can break his leg next week. And Patrick Mahomes can be out with a sprained ankle or a broken ankle. It's happening to everybody, all right? Now, it seems to have happened to us much, much more, in a wholly mashed unit type of way. I get it. And it's basically almost 100% on defense. That's one side of the ball is basically completely taken out of the game. So, it's wild that you could have that many injuries and that almost every one of them is on defense. Yes, you have had Khalif Raymond out. You had Decker out in previous week, but he came back. Now you have Montgomery that might be out for the year. And I'm thinking this morning that, okay, you have 100% basically of your offense being intact, and Raymond is supposed to be back in another week or two, even though he's not going to play, but he'll be there for the return game. Tim Patrick's got that spot locked down. There should be no reason why you would remove him from that spot. Your core is set with Williams on one side, St. Brown on the other, Patrick in the slot, and Laporta at tight end. So now you have the Montgomery factor, and that might be for the year and not for the regular season. Sprained MCL, that could be for a whole, 6-7 weeks, which is basically the extent of the season. So that changes things a little bit in terms of how I had thought this through in the morning. And I'll get to that in just a second. But really, if you think of it this way, so Dubak potentially in the postseason. Kaminsky and Barnes are potentially back in the postseason. Kaminsky more likely than Barnes. Melifanu, end of the regular season. That will help. Is he a world beater? No, but that will help. Anzalone, end of the regular season. That will definitely help. And Rakestraw is expected to be right about end of the regular season. And I just have noted here, injuries are on every team, and much will change over the next 3 weeks. You're going to see major guys get injured from some of the major teams that are in the playoff hunt. The Phillies, the Baltimores, the Buffaloes, the Kansas Cities, the Minnesotas, and so forth, the Green Bays, and so forth. It's going to happen. It's a part of the game. Usually you would spread the injuries out a little bit, and they're not to like your two best defensive players. It's hands down your two best defensive players is Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil. So that's like taking away, let's say, McDuffie, the cornerback for Kansas City, and Jones. That's like taking both of them out. That's your defense. From an offensive perspective, that's taking Pacheco and Mahomes out, basically. Or if you want to say Kelsey and Mahomes. Usually it doesn't happen like that, but it has. And if there's any team in the world that this can happen to and they can find a way, again, this team is structured. Again, I've said it many times, the next man up mentality. They find a way, somebody steps up, and I personally, from a loss perspective, just a loss perspective, not losing the players, that's devastating, but the loss perspective, I'm totally okay with that yesterday, and quite frankly, I'm okay with how it happened. They're going to basically score playing like that, and anybody's field against any team, they're going to score 48 or so points like that. That isn't so much a Lions thing as that is a Buffalo thing. And they're hot, and they're a buzzsaw right now, and a whole lot's going right. I don't think anybody would step down that field. And then with Hutchinson, I don't think they even won that game. While I would love that they would have him and McNeil, it wouldn't be that high scoring perhaps, and maybe have a better chance to grind the clock and things like that because you have the ability to stop them. Yeah, the whole dynamic would change. But let's understand that Buffalo is a great, great team. Period. All right, so guys stepping up. So what does that mean? Craig Reynolds and I always mispronounce his name, Sion Vaki. All right, those guys are going to have to step up if this is indeed long-term for Montgomery. Of course, you have Gibbs there, and then you're going to mix those guys, and don't sleep on Craig Reynolds. I think that guy am I saying he's a Montgomery? No. Vaki, same thing. Am I saying that either one or even both together are Montgomery in the way that he's played this year? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am telling you is this isn't like PB going there and running with the ball. These guys are very serviceable. They can do different things. Craig Reynolds is a terrific blocker. He can pick up, schematically, he can pick up the blitzers and things like that. Vaki, we really haven't seen him, but was a very solid player at Utah, two-way player, safety and running back. I wouldn't sleep on those two. It will be maybe a little bit of a drop-off, but not as much as one might think. And then defensively, you have Amik Robertson. That's obviously going to have to step up. Rakestraw, as I mentioned, when he comes back. Emmanuel Mosley is back. And then they'll add a couple guys. Waiver wire guys, practice squad guys. There's some different things, guys, you can pick up from other teams' practice squads. And sometimes somebody with a chance. That's all they need. End of the game yesterday in Baltimore and the Giants. His name escapes me, but the Raven who intercepted the pass there at the end, as they were trying to get a backdoor score and kill that spread, which it didn't happen. He intercepted it. The whole team went crazy for the guy because he had been cut and just, struggled and was on the practice squad. And, it's set up for some really crazy things to happen. And the way that the Lions are structured, both organizationally, how they are coached, the mentality of the team, they will not allow themselves to feel sorry for each other. They have great leaders on the team. That's exactly what you need when a devastating thing like this happens. And I think they have workarounds that can help compensate for some of the losses here. So with all of that being said, here's the greatest part about it. The Lions control their own destiny. If the Lions win out, it doesn't matter what Philly does. It does not matter what Minnesota does. In terms of the conference record, the Lions have a better conference record than Philadelphia. Right now, they are both 12-2. So the Lions win out and go or 11-2, right? 11-2. We got 3 games left. Win the last 3 games. Bears coming up. Minnesota the following week. San Francisco to end the year. So Minnesota, if you lose the game, you're basically they're gonna get the division. And you lose the game, you're gonna lose the ability to have home field throughout. But if you win all 3 of those games and you end the season with 2 losses, you have home field throughout the playoffs and a first round bye. So you have 1 less game to play, obviously. What is exactly what the doctor would prescribe for something like this? They need more time to heal up, more time to get some of those guys back. Those guys who are at some point in the Jalen Reeves, Maben, I think, is one of them also. Derek Barnes is who I mentioned. If they go a second round, if they go a third round, if they're fortunate enough to go to the Super Bowl, you have a week off in there too. You could really see this team get healthy. Now, when those guys come back after being off for so long, can you expect them just to step in and be on no snap count and just come in? It's not like they're going to be the same guy as they were, even if Hutchinson came back. He's not going to be the same guy he was, prior to the injury. He just can't be. You're not in game speed. There's atrophy there. He's, going through all of the rehab and all of that now. That helps, and that's the process he's got to go through. But doing that, the underwater treadmill and all that versus in game, completely different. So a lot of it doesn't even factor. Is basically this is the roster you have. Anzalone coming back at the end of the year and have him for the entire playoffs, that's a little bit different. Somebody joins you second week, third week of the playoff, it's just kind of, would you say no? No, you're not going to say no, but they're not playing 100% of the snaps. It's a rotational basis. So beat Chicago, San Fran, Minnesota, home field throughout. So you have the home crowd on your home field where you're very good at making a run. You need 3 games to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, so they're decimated. They're decimated on the defensive side of the ball, but you're not decimated on the offensive side of the ball. You have one of the most prolific offenses in the history of the game. Now, Montgomery hurts that. I cannot emphasize it enough. That hurts that. It's that 1-2 punch. It's that dimension. He can do things out of the backfield similarly to Gibbs, where he can catch the ball, he's got great hands. He can catch any type of pattern. Dump down, flare, screen, whatever the case may be, great vision out there, super tough, great goal line guy. But I think we're going to see Reynolds play some of that. I really do, and Vaki might be. So you got to get those guys in right away, get them getting reps. You got 3 games here to get them revved up. Hopefully there are no more injuries. Hopefully you're talking about guys coming back and not guys leaving, but inevitably, someone else is going to go down. It's a part of it. It's why you build depth. Okay, this is not new to this team. They've had them for weeks and weeks now. It's piled up and it's a little bit more. But I think that this group is going to be up for the task. I really do. And schematically, so you basically, you've been exposed, right? You've been exposed by the injuries. Josh Allen showed some things that I think some teams knew, but you can do it, with some of the better teams coming out. So let's just say it's like a Philadelphia with a Saquon Barkley, or let's say it's Green Bay with a Josh Jacobs, or it's Baltimore, let's just say, if they got to the Super Bowl, Justice Hill, Buffalo with Ty Johnson, Kansas City with Pirine, or with Pacheco, or Allaire if he comes back. They're going to just go to dump it down to the back. They're going to run wheel routes and all sorts of different things to get the backs lined up in a mismatch. And the Lions have shown some coverage issues there, and a lot of that is because of injuries. So you're not going to really bring guys back to stop that. So they're going to keep on coming with ways to expose your defense, and they're going to score a lot of points. But again, you're at home. The weather is not an issue. You're in the confines of your own stadium. The crowd would be jacked in the playoffs. They're jacked anytime, but they'd be really jacked, and they'd understand that they have to be to take a line from Seattle, they have to be the 12th man to help this team get over the hump. And in doing so, it might just be okay. So if you have to outscore a team 35-30 or 45-40, then that's what you have to do. You might see them do a little bit more ball control. Somebody mentioned it the other day, yesterday morning, and said, defense, 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 keep Allen off the field, and kind of being methodical. But the Lions can't, neither can Buffalo, be really methodical. They're explosive. They're chunk plays, 15, 20s, 25s, 12s, and you can get down the field pretty quickly. This is not like it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust, another 3 yards in a cloud of dust, 4 yards in a cloud of dust, first down, and there's 7 first downs on a drive. That's not who the Lions are. They're going to score their points. And you got to be careful, in my opinion, to slow that down too much. You take yourself out of a rhythm and you become somebody different. And I don't think with three games left in the regular season, you can change too much from that. However, you can scheme and do different things to light up the scoreboard. And you'll take your chances that way. If you cannot stop another team who's fully healthy in the playoffs, like a Green Bay or a Philadelphia or Minnesota or whoever it might be in that first game, you're going to have to look to outscore them. And I'm sure they're in their offices. I'm sure they're in their meetings or practice, film study, what have you. Here's exactly how we need to prepare going forward. We are a prolific team averaging 32, 33, 34 points a game. Hey, guys, we got to kick it up a notch. We got to get near 40. Like they can't do it? Guys, they can do it. Even without Montgomery, they can do it. Because if it was Montgomery and Gibbs, I'm going to knock on something right here. Obviously, you don't want that to happen. Then that changes everything. But Gibbs as the lead back with Reynolds and Vaki filling in there, it isn't like you can't do much of the same stuff. You have your 3 receiver weapons with Raymond coming back, and then you have Laporta and Wright and Zylstra at tight end. You've got your, and Goff, of course, you've got your weapons there. You've got a good kicking game, great punting game, great place kicking game. Guys, it's not over. And nothing this team has done, a lot of it has come easy for this team. But historically for the franchise, things haven't come easy. I mean, I picked them 4 seasons ago to be in the Super Bowl within 5. I'm still holding to that, and I'm not saying, next year is my last chance. They're in it to win it right now, and I think they're going to surprise you. So you go on the road to the Bears next week. That is a game you should be able to win. They did it to us on Thanksgiving a little bit, scored some points that they shouldn't have, and made that comeback. And they will get some, but I don't think that's a team that's going to score 40 on you and you have to score 42 on. The following week against Minnesota is at home. That team can score the ball. Then you're going to play San Francisco the following week after that. And, there was a minute there where I was like, okay, San Francisco's dead. Oh, maybe they're not dead. And then they had a great performance against Chicago. Again, opponent means everything. And they just dust Chicago. And then they lose the other night in the rainstorm game against the Rams, and they couldn't get anything going. So that's the final game of the year. It's pretty much that. We want to talk about another team that's devastated. Injury. Bosa missed so many games. McCaffrey obviously gone. Brandon Ayuk gone. I mean, are the 49ers what the Lions are, having similar type of dramatic and traumatic injuries? No, I don't think so. So that's a credit to the Lions. So I don't think it's done. And I think you take care of your business and things will come around for you. I just think everybody needs to take a breath and just inhale and exhale, and it's going to be okay. And you will, look at Campbell's taken Rob Parker, for those of you guys know who Rob Parker is, and I think everybody knows who Teddy Bruschi is. I used to have a lot of respect for Teddy, but I don't know what's happened with him over the last couple of years. And Dan Campbell's a bad coach, and Dan Campbell should coach the way coaches coach. Is it working? Come on, is it working? And analytically, I saw Baltimore yesterday. You tell me this. John Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, with Derrick Henry at running back, it's early, maybe three quarters of the way through the first quarter. It's 4th and less than a yard at the 50. He punted. John Harbaugh punted the ball, Mr. Conservative. Dan Campbell never punts in that way. Why would you punt that ball with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on the field? It just makes no sense to me. I don't care who you're playing, but especially if you're playing the Giants. Why would you give up that possession? If you can't get a yard, then you deserve the other team to score. So you're gonna, and I think they ended up kicking the ball in the end zone. So you gave them the ball at the 25 or whatever, so you gained 25 yards in field position. So Dan Campbell simply takes those averages and what is likely to happen and what's not, and the pro versus the con. And so, okay, I'm going to give up 25 yards in field position. So you might see him do more of this. You might see him from his own 30 on almost every fourth down call inside of, say, 3 or 4 yards. You might see him have to alter things that way. You'll see Ben Johnson have to alter things that way. You will see Jared Goff will alter his game. I think there's a number of things that we can expect to see that will help the overall cause and cover up some of the vulnerability or the inadequacy of your defense due to injury. But do not be surprised if there's some guys like Mohamed and there's some guys like maybe it's Jack Campbell, maybe it's Emmanuel Mosley. There's going to be guys that step up and going to be like, wow, that was a hell of a play. Wow, that was a hell of a play. Scheme might help protect these guys. Maybe Aaron Glenn, who is always man-to-man defense, maybe he mixes in some things and changes in and out a little bit to a little bit of a zone versus man coverage to help keep the ball in front. There's a number of things. Caleb Williams is going to light the world on fire. Sam Darnold's not going to light the world on fire, and Brock Purdy's not going to light the world on fire in terms of your last 3 games. Now, all of them can get the ball down the field. I get it. And Justin Jefferson's a weapon on one team, and DJ Moore's a weapon on another team, and the Deebo Samuel and Jawan Jennings and George Kittle for Frisco can get the ball down the field. I got it. But this isn't exactly, Shakir running down the sidelines. It's not exactly A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith running down the sidelines. So I think that they'll be okay. I think that they'll win out. I think that they get the home field throughout the playoffs. And then we'll take it on a game-by-game basis. Let's just say they get, let's say it's Green Bay. Let's see, it's Green Bay in the first game at home, or maybe perhaps it's Minnesota. Can we beat either of those teams? Guy says this morning they're out in the first round. Sorry to say it. I hate to say it, but they're out in the first round. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And so let's say in the second round you play Philly again at home. Is that a really good team? Yeah. Will they be 100% then what they are now in terms of health? Probably not. Devontae Smith missed a lot of games. Anything can happen. Really, anything can happen. And I would take playing Philadelphia before I play Buffalo. Like, if you had, let's say there was a chance, they're in a different conference, but let's say there was a chance that it was play Philadelphia or play Buffalo in that game coming up. I would say in the playoffs, Philadelphia doesn't present the same issues as Baltimore does. It's that simple. Baltimore is Buffalo is woe. That is part of what you saw yesterday. If that's Philadelphia yesterday, I don't think you see the same things. They're structured differently. Jalen Hurts is not Josh Allen. Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams, none of these guys are Josh Allen. Even Patrick Mahomes right now is not Josh Allen. So everybody just take a breath. Everything's going to be fine. Let's work on the Chicago game. Let's get one at a time. Let's finish out and get home field. If we don't get home field, that's a different conversation, and I'll come on and I'll talk about that. Even if they lost once the rest of the way, if Minnesota Minnesota, in order to win out, would have to beat us. Let's say it was Minnesota and we had to go to Minnesota. Could we not beat Minnesota in their building? If that was to happen, it's not 100% lock for Minnesota. But let's take care of business. Let's get the home field. Let's do what we're supposed to do. Let's get some other guys to step up, schematically adjust, strategically adjust, and I think they'll be okay. You got a powerful, powerful offense that can outscore anyone, basically. You were right there with Buffalo, right? You're basically 6 points. You are 6 points down. You're within 1 score to 10 points, 1 to 2 scores on a small score side, really. And that can happen again. A play here, a play there. That game changes. They're better than what they performed last night, but Buffalo wasn't missing. And it showed. So it's going to be all right, everybody. And lastly, 2 NFL games this evening on Monday Night Football. I know that's strange. Happened, what, 3 times? 4th time this year? So that's kind of cool. We get 2 games to end out the season. The games that I put out yesterday morning to the public went 11-1. Happy to be back on the right track for you guys. And then the nighttime pick was Njigba for Seattle. He got over the total plenty, so it was 12-1 yesterday. And the only loss was Shakir for Buffalo, and he didn't miss by much. So nearly a perfect day. So stay tuned for those picks. They will drop live at 5 o'clock. And I will see you guys again later this week. Have a great day. Hang in there. Don't give up. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.